And we'll wait a couple of minutes to allow people to join us. And we will soon get on the way. And many, many thanks to everybody that is that's already with us today. We are glad that you can take time out of your very, very understandably very busy day to learn and to be part of the conversation that we are having today. I hope many of you that attended the first session would also be able to connect the dots from where we stopped during the first session that was held last month, and as we carry on with the conversation, we are glad to be on several platforms, and I can see that we are already live on IGNet's Facebook page. We are also going to be live on the ICFJ's Pamela Howard Forum on Global Crisis reporting in a short while. And yes, so this session is best targeted at individuals that are media entrepreneurs. And we all know how rigorous media entrepreneurship journey can be for individuals that are already moving from journalism to actually running a full-size business. There are several initiative tools and support out there that are geared towards helping journalists to make this swift transition to successfully excel in their media entrepreneurship and to also be profitable. But ICFJ has a really, really good project that continues to support journalists, and I'm talking about Elevate, and we are partnering with Elevate. I think this will be our second partnership this year, but we've also partnered last year. So we are glad to have this partnership going. So to set the ball rolling, I would like to start with a quick message from Renata about what Elevate is all about. Renata, do I have a thumbs up to put you on the full screen?
Yes.
Absolutely. So please tell our audience what Elevate is all about and how they can benefit from it.
Hi, everyone. Happy to have you here. Elevate is ICFJ's news business hub, is a mind-changing program, is global, so people from all over can apply. We focus on helping C-level executive journalists who are running small and medium-sized media outlets to develop your business skills so they can have better newsrooms and more sustainable and help you grow. We work on 4 pillars: business strategy, operations and finance, technology, new media, and communications and marketing. Applications for next cohort will open early next year. This is a 7-month program. You start with learning phase, and then you have mentoring phase, and then you can apply for a grant. So if you want to sign up for next information and updates for next cohort, you can go to www.icfj.org/elevate. Hope to see you all next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Renata. And to now have a conversation that I believe would really, really go a long way in helping you start that particular journey. Our speaker today, I'm happy to introduce our speaker today to you. The name is Dmitry. How are you doing today, Dmitry? And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation, guys. And hi, everyone on the call. Really good to see everyone. And hopefully this will be a productive hour for all of us.
Absolutely. If you don't know Dmitry, let me tell you who Dmitry is. Dmitry is an expert in digital transformation in media, content strategy, and innovation in publishing. He describes himself as evangelizer and enforcer of content user needs, which means how to connect with your audience better by satisfying their specific content needs. So Dmitry has been consulting media and tech companies on how to do content strategy and audience development better since late 2020. And together we'll be discussing media entrepreneurship, but this time we'll be focusing on journalists who are already running media ventures. So thank you for joining us, Dmitry. Dmitry has over 21 years experience working at BBC News in London, and he was responsible for developing and implementing the BBC's digital editorial strategy for a total of 41 non-English foreign language news service. So we are really, really glad to have Dmitry with us today. And we will break the session into two parts. We are going to have Dmitry having the floor uninterrupted, and also giving us what he thinks is important for this session. We are also going to be hearing from Javier, who will also be sharing personal experience. Hi, Javier. Can you say hello to our audience?
Hi, how are you? I think people from all over, so it's going to be a nice conversation. Yeah. I'm seeing the chat. I'm watching the chat, reading the chat, and it's from all over the world, so pretty international.
Nice. Yes, and that takes me, yes, absolutely. That takes me to the next thing I want to do, which is some are already doing it. Those that have been joining us, they know what we often do on this channel on this. Oh, I'm not talking like YouTuber. You're welcome to my channel. Like, subscribe, and share. So if you are joining us, if you're in the chat box here on Zoom, we would like to know where you are joining us from. Please use the chat box to let us know where you are joining us from and your name and your location. Probably our panelists would use that to probably give insights that could be specific for you. And we also welcome your conversations. We welcome your questions. We welcome your opinion and suggestions on what we are doing today. So please use the Q&A for your questions and the chat box for your comments. So we also welcome everybody that is watching this live stream on other platforms. Use the comment box below the video you are watching right now to interact with us. And we are also going to be taking questions from other platforms where we are live streaming this session. I will go to Dmitry before coming back to Javier for personal experience. Are you ready for us, Dmitry?
Right. Hi, everyone. Again, thank you for the invitation. So we're going to talk about probably one of the most important trends in the sector for digital publishing. If you are interested in that area, if you are studying, if you are practicing, it's kind of never late to learn those things. And I'm learning every day with my clients and with some other media organizations. And I'm going to probably speak for about maybe 25 minutes or something like that, where I'm going to share you some of the findings surrounding this new model of digital publishing, all kind of concentrated around user needs in the things that your audience expects you to do, rather than things that you want to do for your audience. And sometimes actually the former is more interesting than the latter. So I'm going to share my screen now. We're going to talk about this. Put all the questions in the chat, and we'll try to respond to them as we go along. So the next thing you will see will be my screen, and then we'll just take it from there. 1 second. So it probably is loading right now, and you should be able to see it. Tell me when you see it. Yeah, you see it. Okay. So we're gonna talk about. Firstly, Paul has already introduced me. So lots and lots of experience with the BBC in various forms. Have been working as an independent consultant for the last 3 years. But I'm obviously remaining editor in heart. Still think that everything that I'm doing as consultant, I'm still doing from the editorial and from the creative sort of from the creative lens. Before we go into the practices of the user needs model, I just wanted to plant some thoughts in your brain about the situational awareness, why we're doing certain things, like why is this important and why we're talking about it now. The question I want all of you to answer, and we don't need to answer it right now, but it's a useful question to bring back to your C-level organization. This is the only question which will allow you to answer, which will allow you to probably take stock of why you exist in the market and why certain things work for you, why certain things don't work for you. What will change in the life of your audiences if you were to disappear tomorrow? If you're going to be not present, is something going to change in the lives of the audience? And for those of you who will answer yes, a lot will change, you probably have achieved so-called product market fit better than others. So presumably, why do you exist in the market? Why do people actually come to you, not of your competitors, is the core question of how media can actually survive and thrive in a new era. Connected to that, I would ask you to think about the mission statement of your organization. So every organization will have a mission statement where in one sentence you explain why you exist in the market. And pay attention to that statement, because that statement is going to be connected directly to why your audience thinks they love you and they use you and they connect with you every single day. Because your why you exist, and your audience's why, as to why they consume you every day, need to be the same. They need to overlap. If they don't overlap, then you have a problem, because you are likely to be creating content that is of no need to your audience. A lot of people immediately will say, well, there is a difference for monetizing things according to the subscription model or according to the ad-based model. I don't agree with that. I actually think that irrespective of your business model, the most important thing that you need to concentrate on is not monetization, is actual engagement. Because if you are creating content that it doesn't produce any engagement, then you are creating content that is impossible to monetize, because there is just not enough. The metrics are going to be not particularly good. So question is, what are you doing to make sure that your engagement is going up? And by engagement, I mean how often people come to your website, how long they read, how many articles they read every time. So basically, do you provide this? Like, nobody's asking the question why people pay for Netflix, or nobody's asking questions why people pay for Spotify, because there is a very clear value exchange. You pay money and you get back access to films or dramas or things like that. Same with music. With news, it's actually not that similar, because you can then go and consume news somewhere else, because news is a commodity. The more niche you are, the more specific you are, the better chances of monetization you have. So many of you probably will see this slide before, and I wish we actually had an ability to actually ask people a question here. Like, this has been knocking about since 2016, 2017. This is the 6 reasons why people consume news according to the BBC. So people want to either be kept on trend, or they want to be updated, or they want to be given perspective on news, or educated. They want to be inspired by news, or diverted from the agenda of the day. This is not new. This has been for about 6 years now. And when I was at the BBC, all of those places in the world which I have visited to actually talk about the user needs model for different newsrooms, because this is where majority of BBC teams are located. And what you can see on the left-hand side of this slide is how many times I was unfolding and folding this model of the user needs printout, because of so many times I have to explain something to people. And I really cherish this printout. I still have it with me, and it's still kind of taking me back to the moment where this model was created in the first place. But then suddenly the penny dropped for the majority of the organizations, and all of the logos that you see in front of you right now, these are all the organizations that actually have been experimenting with user needs centric commissioning before. So you can see nothing unites those organizations. They come from different countries, they come from different disciplines. They actually have different business models. You've got Asian ones, you've got African ones, you've got American ones, you've got European ones, you've got international, national, regional, local, national, all sorts of different organizations. There is only one thing that really unites them, is that they all understood that they need to commission content according to the needs of their audience. I'm not talking about topics. I'm actually talking about I'm talking about treatments. So what kind of value people get from news is the most important thing for those types of organizations. And the trouble is that you don't need to really pay attention to any of those graphs here, but what you really need to remember here is that majority of media organizations have the same problem. They are creating content in volumes that is not needed by the audience. They are investing their money and their time, their resources into producing content that basically doesn't do anything for their audience. What you see here on the slides is the combination of how popular individual user needs are and how much of those journalists tend to produce. So the problem is that media organizations are basically creating wrong content in wrong volumes for the wrong audience. Only those that are actually paying attention to user needs suddenly realize that actually we need to start covering content a little bit different. And the beauty of this is everybody subscribes to Reuters Institute email newsletter, and they know that every year there is a report coming out at the beginning of the year about the trends and predictions for the new year. And I was really, really happy that this year the user needs model has been called as a trend in the digital publishing sector. So because so many organizations have been using it, so Nick Newman wrote that both user needs model and jobs to be done methodologies, which is more of a product side of things, I did help media publishers identify opportunities for growth. So what you see in front of you right now is the more updated user needs model. It has 4 axes, and this is the most comprehensive user needs model, which you can go in all of your newsrooms can go and start implementing right now, because I will be very, very surprised if you are going to show me a user need which I have not stumbled upon before. You can show me something, but it probably will sit under any of those 4 big axes. So people either want to know something, or they want to understand something, or they want to feel something, or they want to do something. And those 4 categories, so those 4 axes of user needs, they also have 2 individual user needs attached to it. So I'm going to show you how one particular article or one particular topic can be covered through the lens of all 8 user needs. So let's go. Let's look at the first axis, so the fact-driven axis. People want to know something. You've got 2 user needs here. Either people want to be updated, or people want to be kept engaged with the content that is happening. So we used the coronation stories, the coronation of King Charles III, to demonstrate that it is possible to actually cover that story through the lens of any of those user needs. You don't necessarily need to just do an update me story on that. So in the update me area, you can show a complete guide to the coronation weekend, or in the keep engaged user need, which is more of a user need that something has happened, and I am actually telling you a little bit of a angled story on that subject. So in this case, the coronation is happening, I'm talking about this, but I am also telling you a story about that if you are to travel to London on trains, allow more time to travel on journeys. So the story itself is still linked to the coronation. I'm not talking about coronation, I'm talking about something that is linked to the coronation, still in the update me area. If you go into the understand me area in the contextual driven axis, you've got two user needs there. One of them is educate me, one of them is give me perspective. So clearly, for example, you can lead your website instead of with an update me story about the coronation. You can actually write a story about Charles is king of 15 countries, but for how much long? So it was very clear from the headline itself that this is going to be a very distinctive differentiation of why you would write that story, and your audience connects to educate me content much, much better. If you know that your audience really loves give me perspective stories, so the stories that basically give you an opportunity to learn about something and to form your own opinion about something, you can lead your website with an article, why I will not be watching the king's coronation, and that will be clear from the headline itself that this is going to be a give me perspective article, and so on and so forth. So when we go into the emotional articles, so the kind of the feel area, I want to feel something from news. You've got two axes there, one axis there here, but two user needs here. One of them is an inspire me stories, one of them is a divert me story. Inspire me is all about make me believe in human race, like make me feel proud to feel human. So here the article will be about Camilla Parker Bowles, Camilla from tabloid Target to crown queen. So clearly from the headline itself, it's not going to be an update me article, it's not going to be an educate me article, but clearly this is going to be a story of her, how she is becoming the queen on the day. The Inspire Me stories are basically the stories that center around a human in the center of the story who comes through something difficult and perseveres and kind of triumphs. And this is a really important user need to engage younger audiences, for example. There are some people who actually are not interested, not in the context, not in the area, not in the facts, but they are interested in learning about something, but maybe from some lighter angle on it. And here you are. There are some examples of how you can actually divert people's attention from the main story of the day to something that is tangentially connected to it, but not necessarily directly. So on that particular day, and by the way, all of those headlines are real life examples of the articles published on BBC News website on the day of coronation. So some people might not be interested in the coronation itself, but they might be interested in the fact that there is a 360 degrees view of Westminster Abbey, which you can actually go and virtually walk around and see where the whole thing is going to be taking place. And this is a way to engage some people who might not necessarily be interested in other user needs. And the fourth area is very important. Why is it important? Because it's really, really important to say to people that it's not only about educating, it's not about updating, but it's also about helping people with their day-to-day lives. So for example, you've got Help Me Stories, which is all about help me personally achieve my goals, and I'm going to try and do something with this life. So on the day of coronation, how to watch the coronation can be an article, which is a helpful article, or what is the weather going to be like on the weekend of coronation. So people will be like the BBC in this case, but any other style of organization can actually help people with their day-to-day lives. And if you go to BBC News website right now, you will be able to see a lot of help me articles connected to, say, the cost of living, how you can save money on petrol, how you can save money on food. Those types of articles were not commissioned by the BBC 5 years ago. Suddenly, media understands now that, according to people, help me articles and connect me articles are as important to people, and they are considered to be news than just update me articles. And lastly, but not leastly, connect me user need. Connect me user need is all about help me feel connected to the either area I live in, or connect me with people who feel the same way as I do. So for example, on the day of King Charles' coronation, we also know that some people are not monarchists at all. And there was an article about an alternative guide to the coronation. So how can you spend the weekend in London completely ignoring the coronation news, and what else can you do? So I remember The Guardian, the British newspaper, on the day of royal wedding, when Prince William married Catherine Middleton, they actually had a button which, if you press that button, it removed all of the royal wedding stories from the front page altogether. So that meant that if you are not interested, if you're not a monarchist, you actually can read The Guardian without any references to the royal wedding, which is incredibly, this is a very good indication that Guardian was thinking about Connect Me user need at that time, maybe even not knowing that Connect Me user need exists. Everybody, how many people of you watched Barbie already? Maybe like, how many people? We have 80 people on the call right now. Okay, well, I watched it. I really loved it. It was a really good fun. I actually went to BBC News website and I tried to plant all Barbie articles that they have done according to the user needs model. And I saw some articles belonging to the factual area, some articles belonging to the emotional area, actionable area, and contextual area. And you know what? It's incredible, because you in the morning meeting, you can actually say, you know what, I'm not going to do an update me story, and we have actually published a collection of stickers for whiteboards, because everybody is using whiteboard for your planning. So you can say, look at this in the on the screen. You can say, well, this is an educate me article, or this is a keep me engaged article, and so on and so forth. So you can have a proactive choice of saying, I'm not going to cover it like that because everybody else will covering it like that. I will cover it in a little bit of a different way. And and by the way, actually, this is a really great example from BuzzFeed. And I don't recommend you going and Googling it right now, but please do it after this session. This is my favorite Divert Me example from BuzzFeed, where on the day of when couple of months before Barbie was released, they actually asked Midjourney, the AI tool, to create 50 ideal homes belonging to Barbie if Barbie was to live in every American state. So you can actually see a dream Barbie house from every 50 of the American states, and it was a delightful article. It wasn't serious. It's a really, really good example of a Divert Me story. Yeah, so let's go. Let's couple of things before I stop. Couple of things to discuss strategy. So firstly, you all need to remember that whilst you are responsible for content, the user needs approach and the model is just so important that all people who you can see in front of you right now on your screen, people from product or data or UX or comms or sales, they all need to be on the same page. They all need to be involved. And actually, they all will understand user needs very, very well, because that's what they have been trained to do. Unlike majority of journalists who still think that we need to just broadcast to people and then everybody will just have whatever is coming their way. No, it's not going to work like that anymore. So the good thing here is that when you go back to your media organizations, remember that I asked you to think about your mission statement and the $1 million question about why you exist in the market. Always remember, you've got your strategy first, why you exist in the market. That strategy, why you exist in the market, is connected to user needs. So you will say something like, I exist to educate people, or to inform people, or to delight people, or to help people, or something like that. Because of that, you create a set of user needs, and you will see the model. I will share all of the links afterwards with you. You will be able to start selecting the user needs that really work well for you. Only then you start applying those user needs to topics and themes. And only then you start thinking about the formats. The trouble is that the majority of media organizations these days jump into formats conversations right immediately without really thinking why certain things should be created and not. And if you were to remember one thing from today, it probably is this slide. Forget about the user needs model. This slide is the most important slide of today. When you analyze your content, what works, what doesn't work, don't just analyze that, topic A does better than topic B, but start connecting those three things together. Connect and compare how a format works together with topics and works together with user needs. So once you start comparing those three things for every single story, you will be able to actually learn so much from your content, and you will be able to say, every time we write about entertainment, we need to write a contextual article. Every time we write about business, we need to write a help me article. But every time we write about business, we write about we write a help me article, but we don't write a regular news feature, but we maybe write a listicle, for example. So this is why this is so important to keep those three things in your CMS. Every single URL that you publish needs to have those three things assigned manually to you. And the good thing here is that if you look at, you don't need to pay attention to any of those graphs here, but just believe me when I say that we compared three metrics that media organizations care about the most: reach, engagement, and conversions. And all of those three metrics, they go to the right direction if you start analyzing your content through the lens of user needs. This slide shows you that you can grow your reach, because some user needs grow that reach much more than than others. These graphs show you engagement. Some user needs engage people much better than others, and some user needs are just not produced enough to engage people well. and ultimately the conversion as well. So some user needs convert people to become either subscribers or donors or supporters or something like that. Some user needs compare between themselves better. So ultimately what I'm saying here is that select your user needs, analyze your traffic according to the user needs, and you will find really interesting takeaways that you are going to be able to actually go and do something about it. So I will stop for now because actually we don't have enough time to talk about tactics, but there are a lot of things you can do with user needs. But firstly, I just will go back to the slide to show you the user needs themselves. So you can, this one. So you can remember that there are 4 axes of why people consume news, and there are 8 reasons why people consume news. And each of the axes has 2 user needs there. So I'm going to finish with just asking you $1 million question again. Remember and ask yourself that question: why do you exist in the market, and do you actually know what user needs of your audience specifically for your organization is? And I will stop now, and I'll stop sharing my screen, and hope to have interesting discussion about this.
Thank you so much for that, Dmitry. We'll come back to you with a lot of questions, and I think before we go straight to Javier's experience and interactive session, I just want to welcome those that didn't join us from the beginning, and to give the instruction that the questions, as much as possible, please let's put them in the Q&A. I'm already seeing scores of messages in the chat, so it's always difficult going through hundreds of messages in the chat to identify the questions. So if you can just shift your questions to the Q&A, that would be really great. And it will be also great to interrupt this with a quick survey that I would like you to do. We have a couple of questions I would like you to answer. Very few questions. Please do not hesitate to answer them. You should be seeing the questions right now on your screen. I would like to know a little bit about you and who we have, the kinds of people in the audience today, so that we can design everything that we are doing to better suit you. Can everybody see the question? Are you seeing the questions right now? Yes, please, everybody start answering the question. The quicker you answer my questions, it will make it much easier for me to bring on the next session. Please, we do not answer those questions, please. Don't let me, I will start calling people out if you're not answering the question. And I also want to give the floor. While this is going, if you want to ask a question, just one single question live, raise your hand. I'll activate your mic and you can quickly ask your question. This is really important. Just raise your hand. If not just the ones that you've been typed, if you want to, I would like one person to speak and ask a question right now while people do this survey. Please, the poll is on your screen right now. Check your screen. The poll should be on your screen. I really want you to answer. Everybody needs to answer this question. We've had 30% of we're at 50% of 33% of attendees have answered the poll. Just open your screen, put your Zoom on full screen. You'll be able to see it. Apologies to people watching on Facebook, and we don't have it set up for Facebook users. Sincere apologies. But everybody on Zoom, we are approaching 40% right now. Please, let's get it much higher and get your opinion to these questions. So if you have a question that you would like to ask, please raise your hand. You have to talk though. Okay, I think because of issues, I think we can, while this is okay, very good. We have Path on the line. I'm going to activate Path's mic right now so that we can hear from Path. Path, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for such an insightful session.
Oh, sorry. Hello, Path.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Perfect. First of all, thank you so much for such an insightful session. It was really enlightening to understand and gain a deeper, in-depth perspective. My question is that with the advent of artificial intelligence and the diverse technologies that are coming through, and one such example that you showed through the New York to the new snippet where the Barbie dream house is being artificially created. What do you think? What gaps does that technology open, which can be utilized in serving the audience's need?
Dmitry.
Well, firstly, thank you for the question. Very practical answer. Let's forget about automatically generated content because this is not our job. This is not what we are going to. We are still talking about creativity. We're still talking about editorial view on certain things. We're still talking about commissioning things the way we want to commission things. It's not about let's all close our websites and let's just only read news from the websites with automatically generated articles. This is not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that imagine you're talking to ChatGPT, for example. You are pasting your text into ChatGPT or Bard or whatever, and then you say, "This is an update me article, but what can your suggestions be for writing an educate me article on the same topic?" And I can guarantee you that it will come up with 3 or 4 or 5 really good ideas, which you then can take back to your editors or your correspondents and discuss it with them. So I only will say one thing. If you're using AI and the machine learning responsibly, this human will never go away, right? So that means that you are going to be using that all of those technologies almost as a co-pilot. So for example, even with the BuzzFeed example, the BuzzFeed example will not have been created if somebody, a human, didn't think about to create this story via Midjourney, right? So and then ask Midjourney to create those images. So that's fine. I remember I'm using it all the time, and I'm going to put it in the poll in the chat, the link to the white paper of the user needs, where you can learn, like it's like 100 pages long, so you will learn much more about this. And there are individual articles about how to write individual user needs stories. But I used a lot of conversational AI with that work. Because why? Because I really wanted to understand whether it would give me some interesting examples or some interesting ideas. And I also will paste a tool in the box, which is going to be free before the end of the year, where you can paste your text in the tool and it will automatically tell you which user need it belongs to. So, and this is all done based on the prompt engineering and some of the new media technologies there. So watch for some links in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Where are we with the polls? We have 69%. Everybody, please, we can push it just above 70%. Then I'll move on. Please, if you've not done the survey, if you've not done the poll that is on your screen right now, you are the one delaying us to move on to the next one. Please do it. I would like to hear. Okay, we're at 70%. Just let's push it a little bit. Just 2 more persons, and we are okay. So while we wait for those 2 persons, we appreciate it. Oh, okay, we have another hand that is raised. Okay. So please, you have the floor. Prasant, you have the floor. Yes.
Okay, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So as you know, I'm Prashant. Seriously, thanks for the session, Wallace. Really, I'm Prashant. I'm running an organization, a media outlet, actually very small media outlet. The only one unique selling factor of our organization is we won't rely on any paid ads. We won't get any sponsored ads. We won't get support from any of the political parties in and around our organization region. The only thing that we wanted to publish is the fact-centric data. We can't publish more than 5 pieces of news per day. This is what our high number of stories being published in a day. Am I audible? Is it listenable?
Dmitry?
Well, it's really hard to answer that question without really knowing more, and because obviously if you only publish 5 articles.
No. I didn't complete it. I didn't complete it. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So the question is, we are not publishing more stories. We are not getting any ads just to fix with our ethic values. Only we want to produce a fact-oriented, data-oriented content which will give the actual news to the people. Are there any possible ethical and legal ways to create money for the web portal? Can you please suggest some? That's what my question is.
I probably not at this webinar, probably, because I think it would be very very superficial of me to try to come up with some suggestions immediately to actually solve it for you. I think we need to spend a little bit more time thinking about this, because you're asking a very specific question about specific business model, and this is not a webinar to solve those problems specifically. But I'm sure that, you know, if you get in touch with Renata and with the ISOJ team, then they will be able to connect you with the right people on this.
Thank you very much. So the floor is over to you, Javier. And yes, so let's hear from you. Then I'll be back with an interactive session. So thank you very much, everybody that responded to our post. We are at 80%, which is impressive. Thank you very much. Javier, you have the floor.
Yeah, great. Well, hello, everybody. Well, thanks to ICFJ and Renata and Elevate for this session. Do you all hear me well? Just,
yes.
I mean, just to make sure. Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen. I have to say, it's like a disclaimer. Dmitry, it's been explaining this thing like all over the world for many times. As opposed to him, this is the second time I talk about this. So it's like a pretty, I mean, feel free to interrupt me or ask Paul to let you ask a question or whatever. I mean, please interrupt me because it's going to be more dynamic. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you all see my screen. Okay, great. So just to make sure, El Pitazo, it's a Venezuela news outlet. I'm the co-founder and CMO. I'm also partly charged with the mission to let's say supervise the business aspect of it. So it's not an easy thing for the moment, given our circumstances. But so El Pitazo, I mean, most of you might know the situation, the history, the recent history, contemporary history of Venezuela. But we basically live in a dictatorship, so all the legacy media were censored or shut down, and a group of journalists and filmmakers felt the desire and the need to create a window to, I mean, let the world know what was really going on in Venezuela. So we decided to create a small YouTube channel. This is sorry, it's a little bit of history about El Pitazo because otherwise you wouldn't understand what comes next. So we decided to create a small YouTube channel that was, I mean, to make visual, to create stories about what's going on in the interior regions of the country, because the capital was more or less covered by international media, but the most interesting stories were happening within the country. So we created that news. That, I mean, there were like short videos on YouTube about the most important regions in the country. That didn't really work, but we at the same time we created this website to publish the written version of those stories, and that took off. And we have 9 years now. We're about to be 9, and we became one of the 3 most read news outlets in our country. So it was a surprise for us, but I mean, that's what happened. So regarding let's say the product market fit for us, it was at the beginning. It was really easy because, I mean, there was really ferocious censorship. So any media that would really tell what was really going on would have immediate product market fit. With time, that it gets more complex, but again, it really worked. So that's why we grew so fast. So the thing is, we started like producing content for any category imaginable, right? So, and after 6 or 7 years, more or less, I felt that we were producing too much content, and we didn't know what was really working for that content. Actually, I was already looking for like a methodology to understand better, because Google Analytics wouldn't tell you this, what was really working and how we could like increase the engagement with the audience. And then we stumbled, we applied to the Elevate program, and there we stumbled with Dmitry's model, and I said, this is it. This is what I was looking for. This is already structured, and we just have to apply it. Okay, so this is like, that's like the story of how we got to this. So Dmitry told us, well, you have to know what was, sorry, this is in Spanish, but I'll translate it. It's pretty easy. It's a 2-axis graphic, right? So down in the first axis, it's all the categories, the informational categories we were producing, and in the vertical axis, is the amount of page views. Okay, so the red columns is the page views, and the gray line is the amount of articles created for any given a given category, right? So it was pretty evident that we were producing, for example, way too much content on politics and international and on the western part of our region of our country. We were overproducing, and the page views were not going along. So there was a huge effort that was being put into something that was not producing any return in terms of viewership or any other kind of return whatsoever. So that was like the first realization. Okay, our energy is not being not being spent in the right places. Okay, so we said, well, how can we, and this is right now I'm describing basically Dmitry's methodology. So Dmitry, feel free to interrupt me and correct me if I'm saying anything crazy. But I mean, this is what we have to go through. So it's we decided to implement. So the first thing is we try to answer the question that Dmitry talked about in his presentation. I mean, what would happen if you disappear tomorrow? Okay, for your audience, ask your audience a pretty broad question, because the idea is for them to give you what's their perception of your value. Don't make a question that would, let's say, skew the answer. So keep it broad, so the answers would give you an insight of what they really appreciate about you. So we survey the audience, then we analyze all the data, and then we had to come up with our own user needs. Okay, we were already warned that, I mean, it was pretty difficult for us to find like a new a user need that was not let's say covered by the ones that Dmitry already presented to us at the moment. But still, we wanted to do our homework and make it our own, let's say. And well, after that process, there was, I have to say, I mean, it's slow and labor intensive. It's not an easy thing. And actually, that's not the most difficult part. It's not the first part. We'll talk about that later, but this is not the difficult part, the beginning. It's later that gets more interesting. So we came up, this is in Spanish, but I'll translate. It's there. We came up with 7 user needs. And the first one, it's translated, and actually we wanted to like translate it in a way that's pretty, let's say, colloquial Venezuelan slang, let's say. So the first one is what just happened. The second one is update me. We in El Pitazo, we wanted to differentiate those two because we do a lot of breaking news. And we wanted to differentiate the small breaking news, pretty like shallow breaking news, with the update me story. That's okay. This just happened. Now I'm gonna tell you more about this. Okay, what just happened, and we wanted to differentiate that because of our workflow mainly. The third thing category user need is how do I do it? How can I do it? I mean, it's a pretty how-to approach. The fourth one, it's explain it to me. The fifth one, it's entertain me, basically. The sixth is surprise me. And the seventh is inspire me. Okay, those are like after analyzing our data and analyzing the answers that the audience, our audience, was giving us to the question we posed to them. This was what we came up with. Okay. So then this is interesting because the next thing that we had to do is, okay, now we understand the model. We wanted to implement it. We created our own categories, more or less, our own user needs model, let's say. But now we have to implement it, and this is the difficult part. So we had to create a description. Again, feel free to make questions because I know this is a lot of information. And this took us like around a little bit less than a year to implement. So again, feel free. So we created a description for each user need. I mean, we have to create like a summary of what each user need meant, because we had to explain this to the team. We had to explain what are you talking about? And this is not, we had a lot of inertia of doing something pretty different in cultural terms, organization terms. So we have to explain to, we are a more or less big team. I mean, for a news outlet of our kind, we are 70 people. So there was a lot of people involved, and we had to make them converge in this idea, right? Into this idea. So we explained the user needs to the team. Then we, let's say, walked hand in hand with them, categorizing a bunch of content into each user need to make sure that they were understanding each user need correctly and putting the correct tags to each piece of content. Then we had to create a workflow, and then we had to enforce it. So make sure that all we call them web writers in our case. I know this is like a different lingo for each country, has like a different lingo for it, but the ones in charge of actually writing and uploading the content via the CMS, they had all to tag it correctly and use it, and all the editorial process take this into account. So we have an opening meeting every day and a closing meeting every day. So the chief editor and the second in command, they all had to understand pretty well every user need, because the creation process, I mean, when deciding what are we going to open with, what are going to be our bets for the day or for the week, they had to take into account all the user needs when creating and commissioning the content. So that's an interesting thing. I mean, and it's not been easy to manage, let's say. So the difficulties. Well, it would sound silly, but for us at least, organizing a tagging system that works. I mean, not to have too much tags, and making sure that the ones in charge tag everything with the user needs. Actually applying it daily, again, the inertia of doing things differently is not easy to conquer, let's say. So we have to enforce this all the time just to make sure that everything is going according to plan. And again, even so, we still have people who are not tagging every piece of content with the user needs. So we have, let's say, sometimes distorted data, because if you don't tag every piece of content, you're not having like the big picture right. And then, of course, I mean, we had the difficulty of, okay, how to automate the data analysis, because this kind of insight is not given by Google Analytics. So that's where Dmitry pointed us to SmartOcto. SmartOcto, this is just not, like in the YouTube videos, this is not a sponsored thing. This is just our experience. But we deploy SmartOcto. SmartOcto is a software thought and created taking into account the user need models. I think Dmitry helped them develop the software. So well, and so I have to say, SmartOcto for us at least is a bit expensive. So we didn't deploy the entire suite. Let's say we only deployed the insight suite that was the closest to the user needs model, let's say. And it's been really interesting, because I mean, I don't know if you guys, well, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. The fourth difficulty of implementing the user needs model is sometimes, even when you have, let's say, product market fit, at least in Latin America, maybe some other countries have the different problem. You have to, a very important part of your income budget comes from institutions that give you grants. And sometimes those institutions, I have to say, do not align with what the insights that your audience is giving you. So sometimes you have to produce content that is not aligned with the user needs. I mean, ironically enough. And that's a difficulty. I needed to say it, because I mean, it's happened to us, and maybe it's happening to some of you. So I just wanted to set that straight. Okay, so okay, we after we implemented the user needs model, okay, we had a goal. Our goal for the month, okay, was 66,000 loyal users. We have a pretty strict definition of loyal user. That's the one who enters the page 5 or more times a week, okay? And our goal for the month was 66 and a bit loyal users per month. After applying user needs, even without SmartOcto, the first month we surpassed the goal, and we reached the 100,000 loyal users a month. Okay, we started using SmartOcto. I mean, it's not linear, right? But then we had 90,000 loyals, and then 77,000. But I mean, it's been, since applying the user needs model, I have to say, the only metric that has kept growing, even despite the fact that the whole traffic went down, mainly because of the tickling in the Google algorithm, let's say, the only metric that's been constantly growing in our webpage is loyal users. And actually, it's the one that we've reached all our, let's say, our quantity goals on that specific metric. So it's interesting. I mean, I think it's worth it. And well, thanks. That's pretty much it. And if you have questions, feel free.
Thank you so much. Okay, what am I? Can you stop sharing the screen? Oh yes, thank you. Thank you for that. So we have a couple of questions as we are beyond We've overshot the time already. And I think something I would encourage all the panelists, Renata, Yavia, and Dmitry to do is you can ask some of the questions directly in the chat, in the Q&A, in the chat box. So you can interact with the questions, but let me get you one to really start the conversation going. So the first question comes to you, Javier, which is the latest question. Can you please give an example of content that founders expect but that do not align with user needs and vice versa?
That's, I mean, you name it. I mean, it's not I mean, it's not necessarily content. It's like objectives. Some institutions don't like investigative journalism. Some others don't like that you do entertainment pieces, and the audience might want you to create entertaining content. They might want you to, I don't know, do fact checking, and and the audience is telling you that they don't want you to fact check anything. I mean, there are many examples. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have Adrian live. If I'm right, Adrian, you are free to ask your question live. Adrian. While waiting for Hadrian, let me get to another question. Can a content writing, I think this is for Dmitry, can a content writing based news strategy be profitable as opposed to subscriber or ad based?
That's not an easy question to answer, no. Right? Because in order for you to be successful in anything, it's much more than you just doing your own thing. I mean, Javier really explained it very well when said that it's not just only your decision, it's so many people need to play or sing from the same hymn sheet, as they say, with you. So when I showed you some of the examples of, product organization needs to be aligned, and marketing and sales and everything else. So you might be doing completely right content, but you're not selling it well, or you are doing, your website is really beautiful and everything is fine, but your content is wrong. Or maybe your content is right, but your website is actually very hard to launch and everything else. So I'm very, I prefer not to answer the question yes or no, but because there are like 6 or 7 or 8 other things that you need to analyze to say what is the best collection of things for it to actually work.
I really want Javier's thoughts on that too.
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Okay, let me get the question back for you. The question has to do with whether a content writing based news strategy can be profitable as opposed to subscriber or ad based.
Wow, yeah, that's a complex question. Yeah, it has so many there are like so many variables involved. I mean, it's not just the user needs model. It's how's your market? I mean, how's the economy in your country? What's the culture of your audience, given the country where you live in, or where the news outlet is operating. We have actually we tried in El Pitazo, we tried to launch a membership program, and we struggled with that for more than 2 years. And actually, I have to say, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the Fuck Up Nights from the Impact Hub. There's a night where entrepreneurs tell you stories about their fuck ups. I'm sorry for the French. But that's a pretty nice fuck up for us. I mean, because I mean, it was pretty. I mean, it was almost impossible to sustain a membership model in our same circumstance. And I mean, we have 20 years of context to explain, and we don't have the time for that. But it's not an easy thing. I mean, I think it could be. I mean, a written content outlet could be profitable. Why not? But you have to, I mean, design like the right content for the right audience, and come up with, let's say, with an operation, I mean, yeah, operational costs and a dimension, a scale that could match the amount of income that you can generate through that activity. So, I mean, there are a lot of pieces to align. But yeah, I think it could be.
Okay, I want us to wrap up with taking the questions around new media companies together. Said wants to know whether a fresh new media outlet in a crowded digital platform stands out and attracts audience with these strategies or user needs model. So the question is whether what we've described today, Dmitry, whether you think these strategies would work for a fresh new media. Then Prasant would also like to know, okay, I read, I'm running an organization which won't rely on any paid ads or buyout sponsors, yet we are struggling to run the business. The only driving force is our satisfaction with the fact-oriented content we create. Are there any legal, ethical way to make money from the web portal? So 2 questions. Can everything we've discussed today work for new players in a crowded space? And what is the ethical and legal way to make money from the web portal from a platform that doesn't want to be influenced by any sponsors? So I'll start with Dmitry.
Well, I probably will take the first question because then you are a practitioner, Javier, so maybe you will be able to answer the second one. But the first one is absolutely you can. The only way to launch something new these days is actually to be very specific about how you're different to others and not try to emulate what others are doing. Like I'll give you an example. A very, very popular and very fashionable outlet which was launched last year, Semaphore in the States. So Ben Smith was publicly quoted many times saying that there is a lack of information, international information around the world about the world, which is completely not right. It's just not right at all because you've got CNN, you've got BBC. Even in Africa, for example, I know that Nation Media Group, they have some aspirations to become Pan-African organization and actually cover Africa not only through the Kenyan perspective, but do it from everywhere. So to actually say that there is not enough information to cover the world, it just, I mean, they do it a little bit fresher, they do it a little bit differently, but like if you have one correspondent in Africa and you suddenly say that suddenly your knowledge of Africa is better than the knowledge of the BBC that has 150 correspondents in Africa, it's just not right. So if you're launching something new, you really need to be much more diversified and much more niche than that. So that will be my answer.
Yeah, I mean, that again, it's a problem of scale. Even I mean, especially in niche initiatives, there's a problem of scale. I mean, there are operational costs that you have to take into account, and you have to validate if your niche is big enough to cover your operational costs to make it sustainable. That's why, I mean, there's let's say a school of thought, let's say a train of thought that's saying, so, I mean, this is not really this is the opposite of triumphalism, but there's people starting to talk about, I mean, viability instead of sustainability. I mean, because it's like as if all media outside, I don't know, leaving aside a really few examples in Europe and the US. I mean, you have to be sustainable, you have to take into account the grants. I mean, you have to let's say account the grants in your budget every year and be very good at finding grants in order to operate. I mean, this is we've seen this and studied this from, I mean, all angles. We've tried everything in Venezuela. I mean, all kind of products, commercial strategies, campaigns, membership programs, everything, you name it. And we haven't been able to be sustainable in that economy, because I mean, advertisers are afraid of advertising in your website because you publish things that are not let's say comfortable for them. So I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, but I mean, if you are in a politically stable country with a more or less free market and a government that respects democracy, maybe. But again, you have to be very, I mean, differentiate yourself from the rest and add a lot of value in the content in order for the people to be able, I mean, to be willing to pay for the content. Because we are, I mean, let's be clear that there's a superabundance of content all over the world. I mean, it's too much. It's just too much. I mean, we don't have the time or the capability to read everything that's published. I mean, not every day, every hour, every second, maybe. So we better fine tune the type of content that we're gonna create and publish, because otherwise it's gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be too hard.
Yes, thank you very much for those insights. We've really, I think we should be wrapping it all up right now. So I'll start with your last remarks, then we'll wrap everything. I'll start with Javier. I'll go back to Javier, then Dmitry, then Renata. We close it all up with any last thoughts regarding everything you've said around Elevate and for the audience. So back to you, Javier. What should be the take-home message for participants on this session today?
Well, I mean, regarding the user needs model, I think it's worth it. As I told you already, it's labor intensive. It's not easy to implement because of the cultural challenges, let's say. But I think it's totally worth it, because I think it's the only way. I mean, again, the only metric in which we are growing, besides the social media thing. I mean, the social media has kept growing since the beginning. It's been growing fast. That hasn't stopped, but the website has stopped growing. And the only metric in which we are growing, it's loyalty. I mean, it's loyal users. And I think that's in part because of the user needs model. So yeah, I think it's worth it. And again, and the thing that I just said, besides that, is think well what you're going to produce, the kind of content you're going to produce, because there's a lot of content already. So it better be good and be differentiated and add value. That's it.
Dmitry?
I just wanted to say that you've got an example in front of you is a really great concentrated focused leader like Javier, for example, because it's really, really important to have somebody to lead the organization in a way that this is important and we are just doing it, and we are not kind of, if going gets tough, you stop in 1 month or something like that. No, you need to persevere, and that's why in order to be successful with the implementation of this strategy, you need to be consistent, and you need to make sure that Javier made a really good point about having people on board with you and this having common understanding. So like combining two questions, one question in the chat was about whether you want to go niche. Completely agree with Javier. There is too much content out there, and the niche you are, the better it is, because we also know that people, even from newsletters, they can earn money. If you're writing about one particular city, you can actually do something there. Not everywhere, but somewhere, and we will get there. But that focus on what you want to achieve is just super, super important quality. So Javier, my hat's off to you.
No, please. Thanks to you, man.
So we go back to Renata. Renata, what should be the take home, and what are your last remarks?
So I just want to say that when you decide to become an entrepreneur, it's a very hard job. It's not, and if you are a journalist who is becoming an entrepreneur, it's even harder. So just for you to be here learning new tools and techniques to improve your business, hats off to all of you. Regarding the new business question that we had in the chat, if you start right, you probably have more chance of success. So I think it applies to everyone. Don't give up. And next month, we have another session about revenue on YouTube.
Great.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And I think Renata is the diverge what we plan next month, which we'll be talking about revenue on YouTube. And for those that have already registered, stay with that link that you have. We will try as much as possible to ensure that the same link you used for this session is also the one you are going to use for that next session. Just set a reminder, the last Thursday of the month, we'll be having this interactive session with you, and we hope that you've been able to learn one or two things to help your journalism career. And to learn more about the ICFJ, to learn more about Elevate and all the other programs by the International Center for Journalists, we encourage you to check out the International Center for Journalists website on www.icfj.org to be able to be updated with every development around the International Center for Journalists ecosystem. And I also encourage you to be part of our Facebook, very active Facebook community, which is the ICFJ's Pamela Howard Forum on Global Crisis Reporting. I encourage you to join our Facebook community, and where we are going to be sharing real-time information and quickly getting new information around everything that we do across to you. So please I'm putting the link to the Facebook group to the chat box right now. So if you are not yet a member of that Facebook community, I encourage you to just click that link, and we are going to allow you to join that group. For those that have been asking about the recording of the webinar, it will soon be available on ICFJ's website. On ICFJ's YouTube website. So please once you're a member of that Facebook group, and we are going to share it with you immediately. The video is live. And one last announcement: we are going to be having the ICFJ Tribute to Journalists 2023. Is going to be happening next week, and we encourage you to try and be part of this celebration. If you are looking on your screen right now, you see the ICFJ Tribute to Journalists. It's going to be happening. Lots of people are going to attend the session, and let me play the video for you. So we'll be having a watch party on the ICFJ's Facebook forum, and I encourage you. You don't need any WhatsApp group. Every means of connection to connect is via our Facebook community that I just shared the link again. So please be part of us, be part of this celebration of journalism. If you can join us online, please do. In the way Facebook group, we are going to be having a watch party and giving you insight on everything that is happening. So that's it from me, and I say thank you very much once again to our panelists, and I say enjoy the rest of your week. Bye from me.
Bye-bye. Thank you.